Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. My name is Anna De Fina. I'm the chair of the Italian department at Georgetown University, and I'm delighted to welcome everybody here to this webinar. I'm sure that we're not alone in having gone through a period of complete rethinking and almost overhauling of our programs. Given the situation that the coronavirus put us in, Georgetown has been in remote mode since March, so the university pushed very much for us to think about our tools, teaching tools, our pedagogy, and open up our minds. So the consequence has been a lot of work that we've done through the summer, and the professors that are presenting today have been at the forefront of this effort, both in terms of the department, have led the Italian department in that work, but also at the level of the university. They've all been involved in a task force that worked for creating new tools and new ways of teaching remotely. So we're very happy to share that the results of all of this with you, and to share those tools and those ideas. Before I present the colleagues, and before I also introduce our very dear director of the Istituto di Cultura, I want to say something about the participation to the webinar. So we ask that please, when you make comments or questions mostly, to use the question and answer function, which is at the bottom of your screen, rather than the chat function. We will use the chat to add some links and some information about the webinar itself. So again, before introducing my colleagues, I want to warmly thank l'Ambasciata Italiana, l'Istituto di Cultura, for supporting our efforts always. We have a very warm relationship with them, and I'm very happy to introduce the director of the Istituto di Cultura, Dr. Emanuele Amendola, with whom we have a very continuous and wonderful collaboration. So Emanuele, back to you.
Thank you so much, Professor De Fina. Grazie mille, Anna, for your kind words and for introducing me. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here with you all tonight. If you don't mind, I would like to switch to Italian for a very brief moment. First of all, because I would assume that most of us, if not all, speak Italian, but also because I have to confess that I have very few opportunities to speak in our bella lingua in public, and so I really would like to take advantage of this occasion, specialmente perché capita all'interno della settimana della lingua italiana nel mondo, che è un'iniziativa che ci sta davvero a cuore. A nome dell'Istituto Italiano di Cultura a Washington ringrazio davvero di cuore la professoressa De Fina, il Dipartimento di Italiano a Georgetown e in realtà tutta l'università per aver organizzato questo incontro e per la collaborazione e per l'amicizia che da sempre ci dimostrano. Questa sera porto anche i saluti del consigliere Bellantone dell'Ambasciata d'Italia a Washington, che coordina le attività di promozione della lingua sulla nostra rete diplomatico-consolare e culturale negli Stati Uniti. Ci terrei anche a salutare i colleghi degli Istituti Italiani di Cultura a New York, Chicago, San Francisco e Los Angeles, che ci hanno aiutato a diffondere la notizia di questa iniziativa. Hopefully this was brief enough. I will switch back to English, so to stay in line with the format of the webinar. I just would like to say that, of course, we understand how unusual this year was. It really put us to the test in the sense that it tested our ability to reinvent ourselves, to rethink our roles, and find new ways to go ahead with our programs and fulfill our mandates in a really short span of time. Basically, in less than 2 months, you had to switch completely from in-person classes to distance learning. And the same thing really happened to us. We had to switch all our activities and programs from live to remote. Obviously, these new methods of teaching and presenting culture can still be improved, and it is really a learning curve for all of us. And obviously, we all notice how much we miss and how much we lack personal interaction and contact. However, I would like to say that as well as challenges, this new scenario present also, I think, new opportunities, and specifically the opportunity to rethink our ways of transmitting culture, favoring a more participative way of promoting language and culture. Also, I think this new scenario favors discussion and exchange of ideas, in the sense that since this is all new for us, we are prompted to interact more with our colleagues and share experiences and best practices. So that's why I think today's program is so important. Not only we will learn from 3 wonderful speakers about their experiences and best practices, but also we will have the occasion to discuss together strategies, challenges, and opportunities. Once again, I would like to thank Georgetown and the Department of Italian for organizing such an interesting and important program. And of course, I would like to send my regards to you all, and thank you for your efforts in promoting Italian language and culture. Of course, we are here always ready and happy to collaborate and support in any way we can. Buon lavoro a tutti, grazie mille. Back to you, Anna.
Grazie a te, Emanuele. Yes, so I will continue in English, although I agree with Emanuele. Sometimes we feel like we should be speaking in Italian more, but it's good to do it in English as well. So I'll just give you a brief bio about our speakers. They're all colleagues from Georgetown. I will start with Professor Donatella Melucci. She has a laurea in Lingue e Letterature Straniere and a PhD in Rhetoric and Composition and Linguistics. Her field of specialization are syntax, translation, and methodologies for a second or foreign language teaching. She has published a number of articles on pedagogy and the use of technology in language courses, but she's also the co-author of 𝗏𝗏, the 7th edition, and the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝐵𝐴ZZA, Luogo di Incontri, both textbooks, for the first one for advanced and the second one for beginner intermediate Italian. She's also a professional translator. Among her works is Franciscan Wealth, From Voluntary Poverty to Market Society, translated from Ricchezza francescana, dalla povertà volontaria alla ricchezza di mercato, by Giacomo Todeschini, and Keep Calm and Enjoy Milan, from the Italian Keep Calm e Passeggia a Milano, by Francesca Cassani. She's a full-time teaching professor at Georgetown University, teaching language courses as well as business Italian, Italian translation, and Italian society and pop culture. Professor Luisa Hipwell, she's a teaching professor, but she's also the coordinator of the Italian language program at Georgetown. And she is a recent recipient of the College Dean's Award for Teaching Excellence. She also has a PhD in Italian from Rutgers University, and before joining the faculty here, she served as a coordinator of 3rd and 4th semester language courses at the University of Pennsylvania. Her pedagogical interests include teaching with technology, as we will soon see, integrated performance tasks, and integrating telecollaboration and experiential learning into the curriculum. She has participated for the last few years as a reader, table leader at the annual AP reading, and she is co-organizer of the biennial Italian Language and Culture Conference at Georgetown with Professor 𝗚𝗏𝗄𝐶𝐿, and has worked as co-editor of 2 volumes based on papers presented at this conference. Her most recent conference presentation discussed learning gains in the collaborative Teletandem project with 𝗚𝗎𝐿𝐴 in Puglia. And her most recent publication, co-authored again with Professor 𝗚𝗏𝗄𝐶𝐿, focused on the topic of hybrid learning. Our third speaker, Professor Musti, has been teaching at Georgetown University since '96. She earned a master's in TESOL from San Francisco State University and a master in museum studies at Georgetown University, where she's currently completing her doctoral degree in early Italian Renaissance art history. Professor Musti has been actively involved in developing and integrating innovative technologies in her teaching and curriculum design since 2001. As a freelance artist, she's created and produced a documentary on oral cancer patients, Courage Unmasked. In addition to teaching language and culture courses, this semester Professor Musti launched a new synchronous course, Italian Through Art, whose scope is to help students develop a deeper appreciation for the rich Italian cultural heritage and to spark their interest in the Italian language. The course is taught with some of the innovative technologies that she will discuss today. So without further ado, I will pass the microphone to them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Professor 𝗚𝗏𝗄𝐿 is just going to open our PowerPoint presentation so you can see the program for our webinar. And if you just click on the link on the top left of the page, you'll see that we have an accompanying Google Doc, and that Google Doc will has some information with links and descriptions of the activities that we're going to share with you today. The link has been shared with you as well in the chat. So by way of introduction, I'll just speak to you for a few minutes, okay, just to give a general overview of what we've been doing at the Department of Italian at Georgetown, and then we'll discuss a little bit more closely the program on the webinar. So as we reach the middle part of the semester, we're all feeling a bit overwhelmed. In conversations with our colleagues, the usual refrain is everything is going fine, but I'm so exhausted. Of course, teaching online is more taxing in general, but it's not in our minds. Zoom fatigue is real, and an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education notes a number of factors that experts in psychology and communication find responsible. Among these are the body language and the other cues that we expect but can't access, the way we monitor our own appearance, the stimulation of staring into faces at close range, the inability to take a break, move, or change our surroundings. If we are feeling like this, how is it for our students who are spending many more hours on Zoom than we are? Indeed, in a survey of the entire student body just published by the Center for New Design in Learning and Scholarship at Georgetown, students reported that in addition to the amount of class time on Zoom, they're using Zoom for club memberships, jobs, hanging out with friends, family, and study groups. Some students went on to say that they are beginning to feel like every waking hour is spent in front of a computer screen. This is a central theme of our webinar today. We are compelled to teach our courses at a distance, but how do we counteract the fatigue and disengagement that can come along with it? How do we cultivate the enthusiasm for Italian that seems so much easier to foster when we're face to face? And how do we make our students feel part of a welcoming community, though we're scattered all over the globe? Moving entirely to an online mode has meant that we've had to make changes to business as usual. In the language program, we've tried to make the learning language process as low stress as possible. We've changed the breakdown of grades, eliminating high stakes assessments altogether. We've put more weight on collaborative assignments and integrated performance tasks. And we give our students a break when we see they are tired, just as now during midterm season, substituting the lesson for a day with asynchronous activities that they complete in their own time. Flexibility is the order of the day. Beyond that, on a program level, we have also tried to be flexible in the types of courses students take. This semester, for example, we've added 2 new 1-credit courses which cut back on student workload while still allowing students to maintain contact with the Italian language and culture. Professor Millucci's course, Italian Pop Culture, is a self-paced course designed for freshman students. Topics include Italian lifestyle, news and tabloids, Italian customs and traditions, the role of cuisine, fashion, pop art, sports, cultural items linked to social phenomena, and Italy and social media. The course is entirely asynchronous and taught in English. Students read articles, watch videos on the topic of the week, and share their opinions as collaboratively as possible using discussion boards, voice thread posts, and video group discussions recorded on Zoom. Professor Musti's course, Italian Through Art, is a 7-week, 1-credit seminar that provides students with a survey of Italian Renaissance art history, a virtual journey through the most important Italian Renaissance cities. The course is taught synchronously with live lectures, videos, PowerPoints, and guest speakers. It is taught in English, while art history terminology and short readings are presented in Italian, so that students can also develop an appreciation and curiosity about the language. We also have a 1-credit dilettandum course, which is especially important this semester, as the plans of many of our students to go abroad have been upended. With this self-paced course, despite being in the US, students still get the opportunity to meet with a counterpart at an Italian university, gaining exposure to Italian youth culture and practicing their language skills with a native speaker of their own age. And that sense of community, no parties and soccer games. We do our best with social media, Twitter, Instagram, thank you, Natalie, and Facebook, and also our department website. Here, we've dedicated an entire page to Italian studies during COVID, and this allows us to clearly outline what we've been doing in our courses. We can share pictures, videos, and articles, showcase our students' work, and let them know how much we value their dedication. We may not be on campus, but we are still a welcoming and encouraging place, and they are still learning the language and culture of Italy. Going back to that survey by Candles, one of the other complaints of students on the whole was the lack of clear and frequent communication from their professors, resulting in them being unsure of how to prioritize critical academic work and knowing in short what their professors expect of them. In an effort to avoid such difficulties, we try to take advantage of all the tools that our LMS Canvas has to offer. We have improved the look of our Canvas course sites, making them more pleasing to the eye and more user-friendly. So you see, this is an example from last year, and then we've tried to update our Canvas courses. We've added images to tables where essential information is clearly visible. Content is contained in easy-to-follow modules where all materials are embedded in the page and students don't get frustrated searching Canvas to find materials they need to complete their homework. Beyond this, moving to our classes themselves, without bombarding our students, we are taking advantage of the tools that Zoom and Canvas offer, using Google Docs as a class management system to help keep our students on task, and doing our best to utilize a variety of apps and platforms to help make our classes effective, empowering, and engaging despite the circumstances. Now let me just give you an overview of the specific tools that we will be presenting to you today. Just a note, the activities we will show you have been created with versions of the tools that are free of charge. Some have limited access for a period of time or have fewer options than their paid versions. Okay. As you can see, our first presentation is going to be by Donatella Millucci, and she's going to present Pear Deck, Zoom, polling, Panopto, VoiceThread, and Google Docs. And then we're going to have a break for a few minutes. And that will be followed by Professor Musti's presentation on Nearpod, quizzes, hypothesis, and Jamboard. And then I will give a brief presentation at the end on Powtoon, Kahoot, Google Forms, and Padlet. Over to you, Donatella.
Okay, all right. So hello everybody, and thank you for being here on a Friday. I don't know how many of you are actually in the United States or in Italy. For that, I would like to send a poll. Give me a second. We would like to know where you're watching us from. So we have the options of United States, Canada, Italy, and elsewhere. I'm going to leave it on for a few seconds, and then later on I will share the results. I'm going to talk about a little bit of Zoom, and if we're here, we know a lot about Zoom. We know how to use it, but I hope to give you some more information on some kind of tricks to make it more fun, more engaging, etc. So let's see. Let's start with the background. You can see that you can use a virtual background like the one that I have on my back. So you select a picture from your computer and you set it as a virtual background. It helps not to get distraction. It helps with privacy for students and the teacher. But there is also another way to use the background. You can actually use a PowerPoint as a virtual background. In that case, you will see that the background is actually your PowerPoint, and the teacher appears in the corner below in your screen. How do we do that? We go, and when we do share screen, we select PowerPoint as virtual background. One thing that I recommend, if you have videos or audios, have these two functions enabled: share computer sound and optimize screen sharing for video clip. It makes a big difference if you have video. Of course, it depends on the internet connection we have, etc. We also have an option to share a portion of our screen. We're going to see this later in a picture that includes everything that I am saying about Zoom, at least this feature about Zoom. So in Zoom, probably you already know, but these are tools that we can use during our lessons. We have, when we do the sharing, we do the share screen, we have an annotate tool. It's right here. You can see right here. When we open this annotating tool, we have this menu. So you can use a spotlight, and this is the spotlight. So I took a screenshot of the activity that I was doing in class. There is the spotlight. You can use an arrow. You can use a stamp. You can put a heart. So the stamps have different features. You can write a text. The only thing that I need to warn you is make sure you clear all your annotations before you move to the next slide or the next page of the screen that you're sharing. Otherwise, whatever you wrote will appear again. Okay, so make sure you go to clear annotation. You want to say clear all annotations. But the good thing is that you can actually save your annotations, so it's a good thing because you see the whole screen with the annotation that you used for that particular activity. So spotlight, stamp, text, save, and make sure you clear everything before you move on. So I was saying that you can also share a portion of your screen. So this is what I did in this screenshot. I selected this screen, and you see that the screen that I selected is around this green frame. This helps avoid the distractions because there's a lot of an empty space and students don't really know what to do. So basically, this way you have the students looking exactly what you want, and you can see here that I drew in it. I wrote a text, leggiamo questo articolo. I put an arrow. I underlined. So there are many things that you can keep your students engaged when you move on. Always watching the screen. At least this little movement helps a lot. Another way that I like to use Zoom is using polls. And this is what you just completed about the United States. We're going to see later what where you're watching us from. Actually, let me see your answer. I want to share the results. Let me see. Let me know if you can answer. So just a few people are watching us from Italy, and many are from the United States. So this way, I usually use this polls as icebreakers. At the beginning of the lesson, we introduce a topic and students are immediately engaged with what we need to do in class. They're simple to do. You can launch it at any time. Even during the class, if there is something that is emerging during the conversation, you can create it very quickly. And you can save them and you can share the results. So if you want to use them for another lesson, you can always reuse them. And you can see the results right there. So let me launch another poll that we prepared for you. We would like to know what technologies. So I'm going to stop the result and I'm going to launch another poll. Please take a few seconds, very super quick. We would like to know which one of these technologies you already use in your classes, and then we'll see if maybe at the end we share the results. So polls are a fantastic way to keep students engaged. Simple, easy to use, you can save them and reuse them. Okay, how do we make them? Well, we go into polls like I showed you before when we are on the screen. There are, you write a title, you make it anonymous. I like to make it anonymous. Students feel more comfortable. You write the question, and then you decide if you want to do a single choice, multiple choice. And then if you have more than one question on the same topic, I recommend to add a question. Otherwise, if you have a question on a different topic, I would suggest creating a different poll. It helps keeps things organized. So you create, launch and share results and engage in a nice conversation with your students. The other way I use polls is doing an activity. For example, here we were doing an activity that I created with Nearpod using for vocabulary about technology, and then at the end of the vocabulary, I launched this poll if students were tech savvy, etc. And here we, so we discussed a lot about this item where students could not live without their cell phone. So that was fun. It's something that it takes really a few minutes, but at least it changes the rhythm of your lesson. Then another tool I would like to tell you about is Panotto. Panotto is a nice and easy tool to record your lessons, to record your lectures, and then make them available to your students. It's compatible with many platforms. You can see here it's LTI compatible, and on Canvas, because we use Canvas, so I can show you how it works on Canvas. You go on Panotto here, you find that you need to enable it. You need to enable it first from the setting panel. You enable it, and then it becomes available in your course. Of course, the institution has to support Panotto in any case. Panotto can be, you can use Panotto. Students can actually watch a lecture from a tablet, from a phone, very user-friendly. Again, you enable it from the navigation panel. And then when you finish the recording, you can store your videos. So you can divide them, sort them in folders, etc., and reuse them, of course. So this is the teacher recording the lesson. You will see there is a timeline. Here there is the PowerPoint that I was presenting. And you can see right here, I hope it's visible enough, it says 𝐻𝐶𝐵𝐻 So with Panotto, you can embed assessments. So at a certain point during the presentation, I wanted to stop. I wanted students to reflect and take a tiny quiz just to see, are they actually acquiring the material? Yes, no, they can redo them. They can go back in the presentation, retake the test. This is what the student sees. What the students see, and so we see that the teacher is on the corner, and you have a full page, and then students are prompted to take this quiz. Simple quizzes, mostly true or false or multiple choices, and you can invent as many as you want. It helps students to pay attention during a lecture. We use these tools, especially Professor Musti and I, during our summer courses, because we have online summer courses, so we use Panopto, mostly Panopto, for our recorded lectures. The other thing I want to show you is VoiceThread. You probably know it, and it's a very nice tool, easy to use, available on many platforms, LTI conformant. It's an asynchronous tool because it lets you have the teacher posting a prompt. It can be a text, it can be, you can be a text, it can be, you can call VoiceThread, record your post. You can use simply audio, you can use video, you can upload a file. I ask my students all the time to use a video because I want to see them. I ask them not to read off of anything. They can always rehearse before, but they had to look as spontaneous as possible. So basically, I was saying that VoiceThread is asynchronous because this is basically the modern fashion, a way of the discussion board, because discussion board was simply text-based. This instead includes videos and in audio or video or files. You can upload files. It's fantastic because you can use it with a tablet, you can use it with a phone, so anywhere. So you simply download the app and you're in business, and you can actually do so many projects with that. Students can do presentations, they can use PowerPoints and present the presentation present the project, or a teacher, an instructor can actually record a lecture using a PowerPoint. It becomes nice and kind of interactive in the sense that it's not a still picture. So again, you can also, there is an integration with the gradebook. You can deploy as an assignment on Canvas or Blackboard or whatever platform you use, and the grade goes straight to your gradebook. Easy, simple, and it gives you a lot of opportunities. These are a couple of examples of work that my students did. They are divided into kind of levels. So this is very simple. Here there is a post, a comment, and reply to a classmate. Each one of these are all videos. So here's my prompt. A student have to then watch the video from the classmate and then respond. And this one is a little more advanced, where we have a peer review on a written assignment. And this is the last one, where it is a summary and critical analysis. It was based on two famous Italian movies. The students had to watch an interview with the director of the movies, and then they have to post a nice elaborated comment in critical analysis. So you really can play around and make it simple, more complicated, more elaborated, and fun. Another tool that I actually started using in the spring, is a Google Doc. We all use Google Docs, but I never use Google Doc instead of whiteboard. On Zoom, there is a whiteboard, but the whiteboard, you need to save it, and then eventually you have to share it with your students. Instead, I use the Google Doc, and I share it with my students. I put a link on the homepage of Canvas right here. This is my class this semester, and I call it Class Notes. It has shared with all of my students. I ask my students to keep it open during class, because we can collaborate during class, we can create activities. So we can do it during class and we can do it after class. So sometimes students write me a message on this document and say, I'm sorry, can you repeat this? We created this sentence. I don't remember how this sentence is structured. So I go back in there and I clarify. It's there for everybody, anytime, for the entire semester. By the end of the semester, it's humongous, but it's a fantastic tool to use it for class notes and activities. And again, it's shared with all students all the time. Here there are a few examples of activities. Here in one activity, students have to prepare. So I created the table before class, and then in class I asked the students to review vocabulary, write a definition, and then we had to guess the words. We all play as a team. In the other activity, they had to write. They had to create a narrative. So it's really, it's very versatile. You can create whatever you want. And again, it stays with the students the entire time. This is another activity that I created. Students, instead of writing, I asked them to post the pictures of when they were young. I had permission from the students to show these pictures. And so they posted the pictures, and in class, first of all, we had to guess who the person was, because sometimes they don't look alike. Now they're like 10 years older, so they're a little different. And then they have to actually present orally, describe this picture. And so, of course, this activity was based on verb tenses in the past tense, passato prossimo and imperfecto. So collaboration, play word games, write narrative, present, review, engage. Okay, I found this very useful, and I would definitely keep using it even when we go back to classroom activities. I also like to empower my students. So how can we break a little bit from our voice, from what we say? I ask them to create activities. So have your students create fun activities to play in class. It becomes a teamwork. They love it. They are very engaged in creating. So they created all these in groups. This is a vocabulary lesson. This is another vocabulary activity. This is a lesson on prepositions. I love it. I mean, I didn't think about it. So I really like that students actually bring ideas to class, and they feel rewarded because we all play together. Again, engagement. This is very important. And the last tool that I will show you is Pear Deck. This is actually something that you will play now with me, and you can do it synchronously or you can do it asynchronously. I like to do it asynchronously because students, they can take it at any time. Somebody's missing in class, they can do it. The activity is open for everybody. You share with students and play together. This is what the website looks like. You can create a lesson and then it stores into your Google Drive. This is what you see when you start a lesson, and you can create activities using text, multiple choices, numbers. You can open a website and comment. You can draw, and you can use draggable activities. You have to make sure, though, that you have enabled in your Google account add-ons. Otherwise, it will not work. But you can play like I am playing right now. I will be playing right now with you. Even if you don't have Google Docs, you need add-ons only if you create it, but you can play from whatever other computer. So this is the activity that you will be doing. So please go to joinpd.com and enter code OEP space, make sure you give it a space UUC. Okay, so and I'll show you what I see and what you see, because the teacher, whoever presents the activity, can switch back and forth. So join PD, click on join lesson and enter code OEPD space UUC. It takes a few, you don't have to complete the whole thing. This is the activity, the way it looks. I can see it is populating. You see people are dragging the icon, and then make sure, I'm going to switch for a second to my view, actually to your view, actually this is your view. Make sure you click on the arrow on the bottom in order to go to the next screen. Okay, so again, I can see both. I can see my screen, I can see your screen, I can see how this one populates, how the arrow, how you guys are working. Okay, so this is, you see now it's populating. I hope you can see your screen. Louise, is my screen visible here?
Yes, yeah,
yes,
we can see.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's working. So it's working. I see a lot of people are feeling well, a lot of people are feeling but at least I don't see anybody feeling no way. Okay, so this is very nice. So if I go to this, if you remember always to click on the arrow on the bottom of the screen. Here, I mean, if some people are home, other people are in ufficio, other people are altrove, so don't, you know, mind your own business, which is fine. You know, we laugh, we bring this exercise to class, and, you know, it's a way to laugh, to break the routine. In this other activity, so it's showing live your results here. You can see this from my screen. In this activity, they can write a text, they can draw a line to the right answer, they can choose different colors, they can erase it, absolutely fine. In this activity, 𝗏𝗏𝐶𝐵𝐻 𝗨𝐵𝐃, let's see how many of you know 𝗏𝗃. I'm going to wait a few seconds to see how many people. Okay, some people know 𝗏𝗃 very well, but it looks like non lo conosco proprio is going faster, so it's more people probably don't know it. It's fun, easy, free. It is free. There is a subscription that you get for free as a teacher. And let me move on to the next slide. You will see in your slide, and let me show you your slide, what you see. You will see a video about Italy. We all know this video. Probably many of you know this video. It's about Italy, and you know, kind of it starts from stereotypes, and then it tells us what Italy can do in the world. And I ask students to write a comment. So you will write your comment on this side of the screen. Let me see how it populates. So right here it populates. You can grab the gray layout. I love the layout that looks like this. So we see comments. L'Italia è molto forte in tecnologia, industria, cultura. Mi piace questo video perché parla degli stereotipi e mostra cose che non sappiamo. So students here react to the video that they watched. And then we have this other video where I actually incorporated il Corriere della Sera. You should be able to see in this video right here. It shows il Corriere della Sera. All I ask is scroll down and look, what is the topic most discussed today? I mean, I think we can guess it today, right? Today is going to be probably COVID, right here, coronavirus in Italia, etc., etc. So you see how many, so you see the comments, and then of course we lead discussion. If you see this slide, this comes from a template that you can import from 𝗏𝗃 easily, and you can edit whenever you want. And the last slide is, did you like 𝗏𝗃, yes or no? So if you want, I mean, we have a break right now, so a coffee break. I know I was fast, but there was a lot of information. I hope they were helpful. You can keep playing with this if you you can go to the website and check other activities. Thank you very much. So what I will say right now is see you in 5 minutes, and Professor Musti will start the session after the break. Thank you.
Buon pomeriggio, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful caffè, cappuccino. I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗶𝗏𝗏 Musti, and I teach in the Italian department, as Professor De Fina, our wonderful chair, mentioned at the beginning of our webinar. I hope you're all doing well. I would like to discuss 4 different kinds of tools that we use in our classrooms, and they are Nearpod, hypotheses, quizzes, and Jamboard. These particular apps I've used in the intermediate Italian courses, the basic Italian courses, and Italian through art, the new course that I've been teaching this semester. The first one that I'd like to talk about with you is Nearpod. Now, Nearpod is engaging, empowering, because students can actually create activities with it. It's interactive and it's self-paced. When you click on Nearpod and register, of course, and log in, the first page you will see is the library. My Library. And let me show you what that looks like. In My Library, there is a collection of all your Nearpods, the Nearpods you have created. And so you can see here's my collection. And of course you can edit it, add things to it, etc. Now, Nearpod also offers its own library, which is very, very rich with thousands of videos and lessons that they're already prepared, ready to be used. And teachers can, I suppose, purchase them. Again, we only use these tools at the basic subscription level, so I'm not sure what the cost is, but some of these videos definitely are available. All of them are available, and they can be used and readapted in a person's class. They're also organized by, excuse me, by grade level and subject, so it can be searched that way. So this is the activities that I like to share with you. One is called 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝐵, the other one is called La Città d'Italia. The reason why I picked these two activities are because you can actually integrate YouTube videos and that's, so it's definitely very, excuse me. Okay, I am so sorry that I clicked on something and the PowerPoint disappeared. I beg your pardon. So I was saying that the reason why I picked these particular activities were because one can add videos and also embed quizzes. And so I'd like to show you this activity called 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏, in which I found basically a video on the internet, a YouTube video, and I integrated it into this Nearpod activity. So I'm going to play the video, and meantime I can show you that what happens here is that there is an embedded quiz. So while students watch the video, they can also take a quiz. In this case was a vocabulary activity, so they can take a multiple choice quiz or a fill in the blank quiz, and while they're watching the video itself. And the other activity that I created is called La Città Roma, La Capitale d'Italia. And in this Nearpod, you can see that you can upload an image, and then you can add audio to it. You can add audio like this, for example.
Roma è la capitale d'Italia, ha circa 4 milioni di abitanti ed è la sede del Vaticano.
Okay, so this is just an example of how you can integrate, again, vocabulary, audio, and video together, and also an image as well. And in this other slide, you can see how you can even use a VR image, so that when you click on a VR image, it's really fun. I mean, students can play with it a little bit. So it's a way to integrate audio, video, and images to create an interesting presentation. So basically, these activities show how to, again, to integrate Nearpod in your classroom and to make them more engaging. The other tool that I like to talk with you about is called 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And so 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is an annotating tool. One can use an article or a chapter from a textbook, and it's integrated in LMS, so it's definitely integrated with Canvas, Blackboard, and other platforms. And so this integration allows students to basically log in their Canvas course and immediately have this material available to them. So in this example, for example, we see the the tool used in hypothesis that's called highlight, which is the equivalent of basically a swiping of a yellow card, of a yellow marker to anchor the document in your text. And another feature of hypothesis is to use a page note, and that's when you anchor the comment on the page. In the answers, as in this activity was an article on Bari, and the question was why do people like to live in a city like Bari, and why is the quality of life very good in Bari compared to other cities in Italy? And so students.
Sorry, Fulvia, excuse me. Could you just click on presentation mode, because some people can't see the presentation. They're saying it's not moving.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, I'm very sorry that I don't know why I'm having all these issues right now. It went well during my practice, but now something happened. That's okay. Okay, so we were here talking about highlights, and I don't know if you caught this part. Were you able to see this part? Okay. Well, anyways, so highlight is the equivalent, as I said, of swiping a yellow marker over a passage or a text, and it anchors it to the document and quotes the selection. An annotation is the digital equivalent of a marginal note. So this is an example, as I mentioned, of an article that you can upload in Canvas or in Blackboard, for example, and the student immediately has access to it and can start writing comments. A page note, as I said, it anchors the entire, the comment to the entire document, to the entire page. And one can also add URLs or images. In this case, I interacted with my students who asked, why would Puglia be one of the best regions to live in Italy compared to other regions? And so I responded to his question, and I also added a URL to show them some of the beautiful aspects, of the beautiful cultural heritage that is available, that is located in Puglia. That's one of the reasons, of course, not the only reason. I'd like to show you now, without creating too many issues with my share screening, the link to Canvas where my course resides. Can you see it?
No, Fulvia, we're still on the Bari Today slide.
Okay, great. So let me do a new share then. Okay, now I think you can see it. Okay, so in the Canvas site, I assigned students this particular activity, which was to analyze the article and to add annotations on vocabulary and new expressions. And so they also, I asked them also to reply to another student. So they did, and they started to interact with each other, as you can see from the comments that they wrote. Okay. So as far as guides and information on adding hypotheses, you can see the links that are also available in the Google Doc. So I will not click on them because I can see that I need to then switch back and forth with the screen, and that's not such a great idea. So I will simply tell you that you can follow these simple guidelines to add this very interesting tool to your Chrome. It's a Chrome add-on, basically. And once it's added, then it's very simple to use. You open a web page, or as I mentioned earlier, if you have it already integrated in your LMS, and then you simply create an assignment, and that you enable hypotheses in your platform, and you go from there. So it's relatively simple. I have also created a page for us to experiment. It's called Annotare. And when you start a new group using hypotheses, you can start a new group. And then you basically start writing and commenting on a newspaper, and you keep track of what your group is doing. So your group could be, of course, your students. So I find that with hypotheses, there are many, very many positive pedagogical benefits and aspects. One is it encourages active and deep reading, and furthermore, it encourages collaboration and discussion, you know, because students are obviously collaborating when you ask them to write and comment on a newspaper article or a chapter from a textbook. It makes, you know, reading more alive and more engaging, and empowers students as knowledge producers within and beyond the classroom. So it's a very, very excellent, powerful tool. So my next tool that I'd like to show you, discuss with you, is called Quizzes. And Quizzes is a self-paced learning tool. Teachers can incorporate quizzes into instruction, review, assessment, and so forth. This is my page, and you can see that with my page, you have, again, you know, a collection. In your library, you have a collection of the quizzes or lessons that you have created. So they're very, it's very, very simple to use. It's a very simple to use tool. These are examples of the quizzes that I've created for my Italian through Art class. As you can see, one is a multiple choice type of quiz. The nice thing about quizzes is that you can use images to test students. In this case, it was about Brunelleschi, and they have a multiple choice question. The other one is a fill in the blank. So it encourages students, of course, to write and to develop their vocabulary. So these are the types on the right-hand side, the types of questions, the typical questions, except for the one with image that I mentioned, that can be used both in the questions field and also can be picked as an answer. Now I created a link to a practice review, so one can actually see how the vocabulary is tested in this activity. By clicking on this link. And so, for example, in this case, what you see is this vocabulary that I created, vocabulary review that I've created. Each of the question has an image, and of course, then you create the questions. And when you want to assign this particular quiz, you start it either as a live quiz or assign it as homework. And then there is a submit button if you require the students to submit the assignment, and then they play the game. Basically, you need, you know, it generates a code and that's it, or a link, and so you practice that way. Okay, I forgot to do a share link. Let me do this for a second. Okay. So I think now you can see. So basically, as I said, you know, you can see the types of questions, and then when you decide to assign it, you know, you start a quiz or assign a homework, and they play it as a game. So it's very very fun. Definitely low stake, very low stake type of assignment. The next tool that I like to discuss with you and present is called Jamboard. I like Jamboard because it's fun. It's very creative. It's a free Google tool. Integrates with Google, and it creates basically like whiteboards. They look like slides basically, and so you can see this is an example, for example, of Jamboard that I created for an intermediate class. The topic was il lavoro, work. And so they really they had fun with it. I use it quite often. I use it as an interactive tool, a collaborative tool, and it's very easy to use. These are some of the other ideas that one can develop with this particular tool. For example, can be used as a problem solving, can be used to create a presentation, it can be used for drawing, and also include a timeline, a poster, infographic. It can be used for many subject matters. And it also can be used if you're using an iPad, which I don't use, but if you have one, you can use a stylus when you write. So it's very, very nice. It's very creative, as I said, it's simple to use. Okay, it can also be synchronous or asynchronous. So you can, the students can play together at the same time, or perhaps they can use it as a review of the vocabulary, or even you can assign it as a homework assignment. So in this case, that they were studying expressions with avere, to have, and they were practicing, of course, expressions. And so I used vocabulary, I posted some images, and then they also enriched the activity by posting their own activities, their own images and their own posts. Okay, and finally, I'd like for you to see how it works. Let me see here if I can be I will go into the chat, and I will send you a link in the chat. I just did that to the Jamboard. Now you can see that it can be used in an interesting way by having students discuss, ideas about really any topic, that you're teaching. In this case, it's created just for you, actually. So this is something that I did for you to try. So I will leave you a minute or so to try to use it. Since it's synchronous, I hope you can play with it a little bit. I will also show you that this on the left, you can use a pen, different types of pens, so you can write on it. You can choose different, an eraser, an arrow, sticky note, and you can add an image, you can add a circle, you can write text, or you can use a laser. Now, a laser is very nice, as you're using this with your students, you can just go around and, just like Professor Bellucci was showing it with Zoom. Feel free to play with it for a moment, and then this way you can actually have a taste of it, and you can also move on to the next slide if you like and create a new slide. So you're welcome to do that as well. Or you can do this later as you wish. Well, I'm done with my presentation. I thank you so much for your attention and for your patience. I'm sorry that I had a few mishaps. I bet you can sympathize with me. Thank you so much. Please remember that all additional resources are in the Google Doc. And now is Professor 𝗚𝗲𝐶𝗿𝗄𝐴 will continue the presentation. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Just let me know if you can see the screen. I know we're having problems in this webinar format. Can you see my screen? Is everything okay?
Yes, everything is good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to quickly present 4 tools that I've been using this semester and last semester in my basic Italian class, intermediate, and contemporary Italy, which is an advanced conversation course. So the first tool I'd like to show you is Powtoon, and Powtoon is an e-tool that allows you to create animated videos and is great for making grammar slides more pleasing and fun to view. So let me just show you an example, and then we're just going to go and have a look and see how we can create them. So hopefully you can see the video. So that's just a little example of a Powtoon. So as you can see, it can make things, it's a little bit silly, but it can also make your presentations a little bit more interesting than just using a simple PowerPoint. So let me just click on here and show you, this is the main page when you log into Powtoons. And I can just give you, I know we don't have a lot of time now, so I'm just going to give you, just take a look at how we can modify a page using Powtoon and how we can add some animation to it. So, when this is a blank page on Powtoon, and the first thing you can do is add a background, and you see this bar on the right here gives you many options for choosing a background color. And so we can choose blue for our Powtoon. And then you can see you can add different characters, props, shapes, images, and videos, and then sound. We can also add a background track to our Powtoons. There are many examples of free music clips that we can add to our background. So then we want to add some text, and you just choose here on your right bar to add your text. So we can say, for example, we're creating a presentation on il tempo. Okay, and by right-clicking on the text, you can see you have many options. You can add effects, you can change the color, and by effects we mean how these objects appear on the screen. Okay, so this is an example of just adding the text on there, and then we can add some characters. So let's scroll down and find some characters that we like. And here, for example, we have these pandas. We can add one of them. If you just hover your mouse over the character, you can see that them in different poses. So we can just add him in there. And let's maybe add another one. Can add him. Oops. Okay. So every object that you have on the screen, whether it's text or a picture or a video, is then appears on the timeline at the bottom of your Powtoon. Because when you're creating these slides, you're really creating scenes. And so, for example, here we can add an effect to how this character is going to appear on our screen. Let's do the same over here. I'll just do this really quickly just to give you an idea of how it works. Let's add a hand to this one. Let me just add another effect here. Let's do, there's so many choices. You can waste a lot of time playing with this program. So then we just need to decide at what point we want all of these objects to appear on our slide. And a slide can be as long as 20 seconds or as short as 1. So you just click on your objects and see where they are on your timeline. So for example, we want this guy to appear first when we play our slide, so we can bring him back to 1 second. Then we want our text to come in, and then we want our second character to come in. So we can just play the slide and just see how it looks. Okay, so that's just a really quick example of how 𝗏𝗏 works. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And let's move along. The second thing I wanted to talk briefly about is Google Forms. And I've used Google Forms this semester in my advanced conversation course for self-reflective feedback assignments on tasks that students are doing. And also in my advanced conversation course for peer review. And that has worked really well. I have a large conversation class this semester, and I put the students in groups in breakout rooms. One of the students is allowed to record in the breakout room, and then they give each other feedback using Google Forms. So, and here, what's nice about Google Forms is how it presents the information to you afterwards. So they're extremely easy to use, and they automatically arrange information in bar graphs and pie charts, making them easy to read at a glance. And reports can be downloaded to Excel or printed as PDFs. And you have the option for adding different kinds of questions, multiple choice, Likert scales, short answers, and check boxes. And you can also add a point value to your questions, turning the form into a quiz. So we don't really have time to look into that now, so let me just go ahead. So the next tool that I'd like to show you is Kahoot. And Kahoot is a game-based learning platform that allows you to create quizzes, grammar, and content reviews in a fun and engaging way. Questions are projected on the teacher's screen, and students give their students their answers using their smartphones, tablets, or computers. It's really easy to use, but like all of these tools, don't overuse it. Some people complain about Kahoot because the music in the background can be a little bit obnoxious. This works really well though, if you use it now and again. It's fun and engaging, and it's good for students with a competitive spirit. I've used it in my advanced conversation class to check how much content students are retaining, and I've used it in intensive basic Italian for a quick review of structured study. And it's easy to create. You have different types of questions that you can use, true or false, puzzle, where students have to put the answers in order, poll, or they have to type in their answers. And there are 2 modes in which Kahoot can be played: synchronously as a class or asynchronously by students. I've only actually used it synchronously in class. So this is an example of how you create a question in Kahoot. So when you log in, this is what you see. You create a new Kahoot. And you see you can add different types of questions, okay? So we can just take a look at this here. Add a question, and it can be a quiz, a true or false. You can type in an answer, or it can be a puzzle, as we said before, and you have to just go in settings up here to give your Kahoot a title, and to change the image and the language, and to choose the music as well. Okay, so this is a Kahoot that I just used in my conversation class on Italian politics that students actually found a little bit difficult. But it can be used not just for basic student, but also for content courses. So here I just to show you what students see when you create your Kahoot. Once you've created your Kahoot and you've opened it on your screen, your students are going to be asked to go to to follow the link, and then they'll be given a pin that they have to insert in their phones to join your game. So let me just go ahead really quickly. So as you see here, the code is on the top of the screen, and that's what students have to add in their phone to get to play your Kahoot. So this is just an example. You see you can add images. to your questions. So I was just playing this myself. I did okay on the first question. And after every question, the score adds up for each student who's playing. And students get better scores depending how quick they are as well to answer. I didn't do very well on that one. But in the end, it's really nice because there's a podium and the best students are celebrated on the podium. And if students don't do very well on the Kahoot, their names don't appear. So that's an example of Kahoot. And then the last thing I'd like to show you is Padlet, and we're going to, if time, we're going to try this. Padlet is a web app that allows you and your students to post notes on a digital wall or a bulletin board. It's great for creating a sense of community among students, even at a distance. And when you create your Padlet notes, text notes can be modified with images, URLs, files, videos, voice recordings, and freehand drawings. And it's really very user-friendly. There are different layouts to choose from when you create a Padlet. Once you log in, you're going to click on Make a Padlet and then choose the layout that works best for you. This, for example, was the use of Padlet using the map layout. And I can just show you really quickly. So here, this was really good because we used this map for a presentation that students had to do. They had to present information, do research on a city, and present information like the sites to see in the city, the hotels, the restaurants, okay? And then when you click on the map, you can zoom in. And this was really good as well because we were able to, you see the students were adding pins to the map. But as well as that, you can zoom in so close enough on the map to be able to give directions. So we used it as well to practice directions in the class. And let's see, I have another example that students did, and this was instead using the Canvas layout. And when you use the Canvas layout, it allows you to connect posts together. So here's an example of that. So they had to talk about their ideal hotel. So what's their favorite hotel and the different amenities that they had to, and that it has to offer. And then they could link to amenities that other students were talking about. So that looks really nice. Again, it's really easy to use. And this was one prepared by Professor Musti using the stacking layout, the shelf, so she could stack information in columns. So here we have an example, and I'd like us to try it. So this is the link, and I think 𝗏𝗲𝐵𝐴 should be sharing the link with you in the chat as well.
Yes, it's in the chat. Okay.
So let's just click on it and see how this works. Okay, so the topic of this Padlet is se non ci fosse il coronavirus, cosa faresti e dove saresti? And as you can see, when you add your post, you just click on the pink plus sign at the bottom right corner of the page, okay? And then when you add your post, you can upload a file, you can add a link, you can add GIFs or images. There's so many options here when you add the post. So students can personalize their posts as much as they like. So this is Professor Musti and Professor Melucci's. This is where she would be, and this is Professor Musti's post. So you see they can also draw or add a voice recording. There's so many options here. So while you're adding your posts, let me just show you how it works from the teacher's point of view. There's really very little that you have to do here. There aren't a lot of options, so that's what makes it so easy to use. So you add your title, your description, you can change your icon, you can change the wallpaper, so the color of your Padlet, the font. You can have it show students' names, so when they post, or you can make it anonymous, okay? So we don't see any names. And then you can also have students comment on other people's posts or react to other people's posts. And then when it gets to you sharing the link for your Padlet with other with your students. This is what you have to click on share, and then you can decide what level of privacy you want your Padlet to have. And here I have this secret, so it's hidden from the public, but if I choose to share it with someone, they should be able to access it and they can write. Okay, so that's an example of Padlet. Oh, there's some really good images coming up here. That's excellent. I like this. That's really good. So that's all I have to present to you today. So I know we're going a little bit over time, so let's just go ahead. I can leave it up there for a minute and we can go on to our question and answer part of the webinar.
Thank you, Louise, Fulvia, and Donatella. Sorry, let me put my video on also. Yeah, so I've been looking at the question answer. Some of the questions have been answered directly, but there are at the moment there are 3 questions that you know, from different people that I think they could ask directly. If Emanuele can help me, you know, put this the people who are asking the questions on. And then we can have some more questions. I'm sure people want to ask many specifics. So the first question is by Loredana Bignamini. I don't know if she's still here. And she says, molto carino, immagini dove le trova. So if Loredana can be allowed to ask the question, because I don't know if she was, to which she was referring. Hi, Loredana.
Salve, sì, io mi riferivo, sorry, in English, right? I was referring to all the animation that Mrs. Louise put on her presentation. There were a lot of them, and although all those clip arts, where you find them, are they free, can be used? And then you show that you can actually use them directly from the app, right? They're all in the app. Perfect.
Everything I used on that presentation to create that Powtoon, everything was taken from the is actually available within the app. So they have a wealth of images and videos and characters. Everything is in there. So I didn't add anything from outside of the app.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is by Amelia Nevis. È possibile usare i nostri Bitmoji avatar come personaggi in Powtoon?
Is it what? Sorry.
Amelia, maybe she can ask directly. Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to know if you could use your Bitmoji, but while you were talking, I Googled it, and yes, you can. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there are a number of people who asked us if the webinar recording is going to be available, and I think that yes, we can definitely make it available. We will send a message when it's available, and so that you can look at it, because I'm sure there's a lot of information that you need to digest. Okay, so these are the questions that were not answered. Let me see if there is anything else. Okay, no. So now if anybody wants to add a question, we can. We still have a little bit of time. Let's see. So, Christina Bachin. Oh no, she's just thanking you for sharing your tools. Okay, so let's give people another minute to see anybody else.
Donatella, do you want to share the results of the poll, as we have a little bit of time?
Yes, we can share the results. So here, can you see it? Not, yes? No? Okay, so I need to share the screen. Stay with me for a second.
Well, in the meantime, maybe Louise, can you answer Quali di queste app sono gratis e quali si possono integrare in Canvas? There's another question.
Everything that we showed, we showed free versions of them. So Professor 𝗚𝗲𝐶𝗿𝗶𝗃𝗏𝗄𝐀 and Professor 𝗚𝗲𝗏𝐺 showed Panopto, which is can be integrated into Canvas. Padlet can't be integrated into Canvas. The ones I showed can't be integrated into Canvas. But Panopto and 𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, what else? Can Jamboard be integrated into Canvas?
No, Jamboard cannot, but it can be integrated in Google Doc, and then the Google Doc can be integrated probably in Canvas.
Yeah.
You can embed your Jamboards. I have embedded them in Canvas, so you can embed them, or you can post a link, whichever you prefer. I like to see the actual image on my Canvas page, but yeah, you can embed it, you know. So it's but what's definitely compatible with these platforms are Panopto, VoiceThread, and Hypothesis. If the college or school you know, purchases the license, basically.
Okay, can you see the results for the polling?
Yes.
So it looks like the most common is Kahoot. The others actually, well, I'm glad, because this way, you know, we showed you something new.
I have another question from Andrea Giorgioni. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Luciana Fellin asks, how has assessment changed? That is, what tools do you use?
As we talked about in the introduction, I talked a little bit about changes that we've made to assessment. We've eliminated all of our high stakes assessments, so students don't have any hour-long exams anymore. We've, in basic, for example, in basic Italian, our first elementary class, students instead are completing short quizzes on vocabulary and grammar, and we have these, they take the quizzes online through Canvas without any proctoring software this semester. And as well as that, we've integrated also IPA tasks. So we've created rubrics for all of our tasks to assess students' acquisition of the language and the content. So yeah, I mean, compared to usual, I think our testing in our classes is much, it's low stress compared to what it usually is. They won't have any final exams either. So it's really just having students complete collaborative exercises in class. They're getting grades for all of their reading, their writing examples. They're writing all the time on Canvas. But yeah, for us this semester, it was really important to make testing as low stress as possible.
I don't know, Luciana, do you want to ask more specifically? Was this answer enough for you? Do you want to go live? You're muted, Luciana. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for giving me space. Yeah, thank you very much. Fantastic presentations. Everything really super useful. Yes, we've done that too, and the high stakes is very stressful. I was just wondering what tools we have, because there, we've gone a lot more focus on form now, and ironically to traditional types of teaching with multiple choice and fill in and things that we had strayed away from. But I'm finding difficulty, balancing the IPAs and the focus on form, and how else can we imagine a new type of evaluation that isn't mechanic, or that isn't either or, just form or just content. So I don't know, I think it's for another webinar that you can organize.
No, but I think too, on our quizzes, we've added a lot of open-ended questions, you know, so it's not just fill in the blank, you know, conjugate the verb, but we're asking them to really use and show the language that they've learned, you know. So on our vocabulary exercises, it's not just to fill in the blank anymore, you know, but it's write a dialogue or write a paragraph or, you know.
Yes, we do that, but the issue of Google Translate, and that is really something that we're aware of.
Yeah, and I mean, we tried to deal with that last semester. We used an online proctoring software, but students found it extremely stressful. So, you know, yeah, I know there's no ideal solution to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so Loredana Bignamini, do you want to ask your question? I don't know if she's still there. Maybe she's, oh yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Sorry to keep asking questions, but this is very exciting. My question was, some of these apps have some application in common. They do the same thing, you know. So why do you decide to use one versus another? What is that has the characteristics that you know, it's more interesting to you versus another one that does more or less the same thing but not quite, so you use the other one?
Donatella?
Yes, well, first of all, you want to look at all the specifications. And the website for each of these apps will give you a lot of information. For example, there is a nice article that we can share. It's Pear Deck versus Nearpod. So it depends on what you want to do. You decide which app you actually want to use. They're all different, and there are pros and cons in each of these apps. For example, in Nearpad, which I love, but if I upload a PowerPoint, one of my PowerPoints where I use a lot of movement, things appear, disappear, etc. If I then upload it with Nearpad, I lose all the movement. So I can simply insert the new slides from Nearpod. So it's you want to read the specifications, and again, we can definitely put this article that I found, it was fantastic, about when to use which one.
Andrea Giorgione, sorry, do you want to ask your question directly?
Yeah, so there are a few questions that I saw in chat, so I was just reporting the one in chat. Somebody was asking, I think it was Rossella, è possibile aggiungere la voce parlante in Powtoon?
Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can have a voiceover. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then there's another question. Maybe when there are simple questions, I read them. And if they're not that simple, then I'll give the... So this question from Cristina Bacin. Quali di queste risorse vi sembrano più adatte a Zoom?
We play them all in class through Zoom. So I think that all of them.
Yeah, and it's just to have a variety of them, right? Because students get sick of them if you use one of them too much, right? Yeah.
The only issue that sometimes it can be slow. So if when one day I was trying a Pear Deck activity, it took me a long time, and at the end it was not worth it. But sometimes it depends on the server, on the internet, etc. But definitely all we use right now can be used with Zoom.
Okay, and I have a final question by Michela Santostefano. Michela, you want to ask it?
Ok, there we go. Sì, buon pomeriggio. Mi sentite?
Sì.
Sì, ecco. Sì, io sono interessata a capire come possiamo permettere ai ragazzi di fare conversazione tra di loro. Ho provato in diversi modi, ma se ci sono altre idee alternative all'uso, per esempio, della funzione che viene con i libri di testo, o una funzione, non so, tipo voice thread. Avete qualche altra idea? Io trovo che questi ragazzi hanno bisogno di parlare tra di loro in italiano. Li sento un po' rigidi, un po' non partecipano attivamente, quando però li metti a parlare senti che hanno bisogno di fare pratica. Avete delle idee?
Sì.
Sì, se posso rispondere io già sulla mia idea e poi sicuramente Luisa e Fulvia. Quello che io spesso faccio, oltre a VoiceThread, gli chiedo, una volta alla settimana devono registrare un video di gruppo. Noi di solito abbiamo un giorno in cui non ci incontriamo in classe e quindi si devono incontrare, hanno chiaramente una traccia, un argomento su cui parlare, probabilmente l'argomento del capitolo, e devono vedersi in gruppo, si devono incontrare su Zoom e registrare questo video e devono discutere. E poi le breakout rooms, usiamo le breakout rooms ogni giorno e quello li prepara molto. Se lo facciamo regolarmente in classe usando le breakout rooms e quindi riescono a parlare, poi insomma fare questa registrazione è abbastanza buona. La cosa che io trovo utile è usare le rubriche, cioè dare a loro dei criteri su cui poi saranno valutati. E quindi qualsiasi attività facciano con VoiceThread o con Zoom o nelle breakout rooms, lì devono e sanno esattamente che cosa è accettabile e che cosa non è accettabile. Cioè essere lì nel video e non dire nulla non hanno un voto. Quindi avere dei criteri molto precisi, semplici ma precisi. Io ho trovato breakout rooms e questi video di gruppo su Zoom hanno aiutato tantissimo.
Ok, perché io ho appena dato un assignment dove devono fare una conversazione su Zoom e poi mandarmi il link, però pensavo ci fossero altre idee a questo proposito. Perché per esempio c'è Flipgrid, c'è GoReact, ma lì non c'è l'interazione tra gli studenti, è quella che mi interessava diciamo alimentare tra di loro, che parlino tra di loro. Vabbè, allora praticamente Zoom va bene, accettabile. Volevo solo assicurarmi.
Sì, usare le breakout rooms e poi il fatto che io insegno un corso di conversazione semestre e quindi anche la possibilità di registrare queste breakout rooms, quindi gli studenti chiacchierano ma dopo puoi andare a sentire quello che hanno detto, no?
Queste attività naturalmente sono asincrone perché non è possibile farle in classe perché abbiamo un orario limitato, un'ora e mezza. Sono tutte cose che richiedono da parte dello studente un certo impegno.
E organizzazione, certo.
Organizzazione, eccetera. Va bene, grazie mille, grazie di questa presentazione, molto utile, molto utile.
Oh, unfortunately, we are out of time now, but again, I want to thank you, our panelists. They were great. We had some little problem, but I think when we use technology, that's what happens. So it was, you know, an experience that we go through every day. I want to thank again Emanuele for helping us and supporting us in this effort, and thanks to everybody for being here.
Grazie a voi. Buon lavoro a tutti.
Grazie.
Arrivederci.
Buon lavoro.